Rappers who exposed the industry. It might seem like a lot of fun from the outside, but the music industry isn't just a ton of partying and rock and roll. Sure, that stuff does go down, but all musicians, rappers included, have to work a hard job that really never lets up. Long hours in the studio, non-stop tour dates, interviews, photo shoots. Being a musician can be tough, but let's not ignore the hardest part about working in the music industry: the industry itself. In case you've never paid much attention to what goes on behind the scenes, let me be the first to tell you. The music industry is, kinda shady. You've probably seen articles about Taylor Swift's struggles to own her music, or Kanye West's Twitter tirades about the ownership of music. These claims aren't exaggerated, they're true. A lot of popular musicians out there don't even own the rights to their own songs, as it seems like it's their chance to get seriously rich. But these deals come with a lot of baggage. Some rappers have had to fight battles against the music industry just to get fair treatment, and they helped reveal what really goes on behind closed doors. Before we start the video, make sure to click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It helps a lot. Now, here are 7 rappers who exposed the music industry. Number 7, Lil Uzi Vert. Eyebrows start to get raised whenever a rapper delays a highly anticipated album. Not capitalizing on hype can mean a few things, but it's generally a good sign that a rapper isn't exactly getting along with their record label and the people that are behind their career. If there was ever a modern-day example of this, it was the build-up to Lil Uzi Vert's album Eternal Atake. Would it be an understatement to say that people were excited about Eternal Atake? Yeah. Uzi previewed the album way back in the summer of 2018, and people naturally assumed that the album was close. It wasn't. It was almost a full 2 years between the album's announcement and the moment the fans heard the first notes of Baby Pluto. But why was that? Uzi was recording a ton of music in that time period. He could have released several albums. The eternal wait can partially be chalked up to Uzi's perfectionist tendencies, but there was some definite drama in the label. No pun intended, DJ Drama. Uzi tweeted back in 2018 about issues with being signed to DJ Drama, and these issues were still going on in 2019 when his label refused to let an Uzi verse appear on Nav's album. This was followed up by the track Free Uzi that implied Uzi's music was being held captive. Things seem to have settled down now, but fans definitely became more aware of label problems from the whole Eternal Atake saga. Number 6, Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane is one of the true legends of modern rap. He's been in the game for a while now, so it makes sense that he's had his fair share of problems when it comes to the music industry. Interestingly enough, though, the real moment where it seemed like he exposed a darker side of the industry didn't come until last year. I guess he had had just enough mistreatment after all those years. In June of 2020, Gucci made a tweet aimed at his label, Atlantic Records. In it, he said that he was leaving the label and said that they were, quote, polite racist. He later tweeted that musicians should follow his actions and leave their labels. This came at a time when lots of rappers were questioning whether their labels were racist or not, and it served as a reckoning of sorts for the entire music industry. Despite all of this, it wasn't long before Gucci walked back on his statement a bit. He deleted the original tweets and then clarified that he actually wasn't leaving Atlantic. So what happened behind the scenes there? Who knows? Gucci probably decided to focus on the business aspect over everything else. Regardless of the fact that the tweets were deleted, the racism of labels had already been called out, and it wasn't the first time someone had something bad to say about Atlantic Records. Number 5, Lil Wayne. Sometimes a rapper doesn't even need to do anything to purposefully expose the music industry. Sometimes they just do it through their actions whether they mean to or not. That was definitely the case when Lil Wayne found himself in the middle of a legal battle with a record label and, of course, Birdman. There's a lot of history behind this one, so let's take a look at this timeline. Much like the Eternal Atake situation, fans started to get privy to Wayne's label issues due to the delay of his album, The Carter 5. Way back in 2014, people were looking forward to hearing a new album. But Wayne told the world that Birdman, the man behind the label Cash Money, had delayed the record for no reason. He described himself as a prisoner and said that he wanted out of the label. By 2015, Wayne had had enough, and he filed a huge lawsuit against Cash Money. He then started to say that Nicki and Drake might leave Young Money because of all the issues that Birdman was causing. The legal battle went on for a while, and it ended with Wayne earning 8 figures from the label that had been withholding his music and earning cash off his masters. Following that, it was revealed that Wayne officially owned all his assets. I can't say that Birdman looked any good following all of this. Number 4, Kanye West. It's funny to think that Kanye West was once someone who wasn't at the top. He slowly worked his way up the music industry, and then the fashion industry, to become one of the most influential and wealthy people in the world. Pretty crazy stuff. He's done everything and worked with everyone, and you already know that he's formed some pretty strong opinions on what happens in the music industry. And the great thing about Kanye is that you will always know when he has an opinion. There are a lot of classic interview moments that feature Kanye criticizing the industry, but he has more relevantly spoken on the issue in recent times on Twitter. While many of his tweets were about Def Jam, he was actually addressing a major issue in the music industry that is really only now being discussed by people outside of it: masters. Masters is the term people use to refer to master recordings. A master recording is just what it sounds like: the original recording of an artist's song, the one that gets sent to streaming services, radio stations, and everything else. Kanye was criticizing the fact that labels own masters rather than artists, meaning that artists are essentially never going to actually be free and independent, because they don't even own the music they create. While some of his tweets have been confusing, especially for people that knew little about this issue at hand, he definitely got a conversation going on a previous obscure topic. That's the Kanye. Number 3. Logic. It's not that uncommon to see an artist airing their grievances on social media, but when an artist as big as Logic is letting out his anger towards his label, you can bet that people are going to pay attention. Not one to generally stir up much controversy, Logic hopped on Instagram in October of 2020 to make it known that Def Jam wasn't treating him right, or rather, they weren't treating his collaborators right. In his Instagram post, Logic railed against Def Jam for not paying the people that he featured on his album. According to him, it wasn't his debt to pay. He had hired musicians to work on his record using the budget allocated to him by Def Jam. Those musicians were never paid. He even shared a text conversation with a producer that showed the confusion around the issue. Logic standing up for his collaborators shined a light on an issue that most artists never speak about. We hear about musicians being scammed by their own label all the time, but it's much more rare to hear about a label scamming artists that aren't even signed to them. It was definitely cool to see Logic standing up for his collaborators. Hopefully labels don't try to pull moves like this in the future now that people are more aware. Number 2. Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is definitely no stranger to rap drama. You all remember when she was in the middle of a beef between Drake and Meek Mill, right? Ah, good times. But let's not forget that she got in a bit of a disagreement with Travis Scott. Not only did she expose a slightly shady part of the music industry that few of us were aware of at the time, but she also beefed with Baby Stormy as well. Wow. Okay, so it all started when Minaj and Scott released their respective albums Queen and Astroworld at the same time. They were both highly anticipated, and Astroworld ended up beating out Queen for number 1. Nicki had a lot to say about this. She initially argued that it was unfair for Scott to win after she was blackballed from playlists. She later pointed out something else: bundles. On Travis's website, Astroworld merch was being sold bundled alongside the album. This meant that you could buy an Astroworld shirt and it would essentially count as an album sale. People went crazy for the merch, and it boosted his sales quite a bit. 50,000 if you want to believe Nicki. Plenty of people argued that she was being hypocritical, as she also sold albums bundled with her tour tickets. The end result of all of this? Well, merch bundles don't count as album sales anymore. It's harder to say whether Nicki actually directly caused this to happen, but hardly anyone ever complained about bundles before this feud. To her credit, it does seem a bit more fair now that bundles are done away with. Number 1, Russ. Yeah, I really finished up a list with Russ at number 1. The guy gets made fun of a lot on social media, but let's give credit where credit is due. Russ really helped expose a pretty major issue in the music industry, and he is continuing his campaign for independent artists to this day. It happened about a year ago when Russ hopped on Instagram Live and started talking about the industry. He said that streaming numbers were fake, and then brought up Atlantic Records before stopping himself. He realized that what he was saying was an insider secret, but he decided to say it anyway. He said that labels, Atlantic included, use a trick called micro-publishing, where they will pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to get songs included on smaller, less recognized playlists. That doesn't sound like it would boost the streaming numbers that much, right? Well, it actually does. They pay to get a ton of these small playlists, and those plays add up over time. Russ also explained that labels would pay to get comments and posts on social media about their new releases. Making direct accusations about Atlantic like this was a pretty bold move by Russ, but it really helped legitimize the idea that labels pay for streams. Before it had just been a conspiracy theory, but everyone knew it was real after Russ spoke about it. So did we forget to mention anyone who exposed the music industry before? Let me know in the comments. And before you leave, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to our channel.